Today's session agenda includes GoldenGate architecture, GoldenGate certification matrix, download GoldenGate binaries, and installing Oracle GoldenGate on virtual boxes. So, in the previous session, we discussed about the GoldenGate architecture. Let me quickly walk you through to GoldenGate architecture again, because this architecture, as I discussed in the previous session as well, is the major thing in GoldenGate. Whenever you are setting up GoldenGate, troubleshooting, performance tuning, anything you are doing in GoldenGate, everything comes from this GoldenGate architecture. So how GoldenGate architecture works? So you have source database and target database. So source of GoldenGate is transaction logs of the database. These transaction logs in Oracle database are called as redo logs, or backup of redo logs, which are called as archive logs. Now, each database has its own transaction log. So GoldenGate supports not only Oracle database, it supports non-Oracle databases. Now the question comes in your mind, how do we find which databases it supports? I'll tell you how to find which version supports which database. All those things will be answered to you in next few minutes. So you have a transaction logs at the database level where the transactions are made. Now remember, the transaction logs of the database contains committed as well as uncommitted transactions. GoldenGate reads the transaction logs and only captures the committed transactions. Once the transactions are captured, it writes them to the trail file on local machine, which are called as local trail file. Once the data becomes available into local trail, GoldenGate data pump process sends the data over TCP/IP network and writes it to trail file on target machine, which are called as remote trail. As soon as data becomes available into remote trail, GoldenGate replicate process applies the data to the target database. Now, one thing here you have to notice is each process in GoldenGate has a source to read from and a target to write to. So, extract process source is transaction logs of the database. Target is local trail. Pump process source is local trail. Target is remote trail. Replicate process source is remote trail and target is target database. Remember one more thing, the target of extract acts as source for data pump process. Similarly, target of pump acts as source for replicate process. These are the few things to keep in mind when we do troubleshooting. I'll emphasize of what all things needs to be done for troubleshooting purpose during the session as the session goes on, but just to give you an overview, these things will become more clearer once we do the setup as well. So the target of extract, because target writes to this local trail, whatever this extract process is writing data to, pump process captures that. Similarly, the target of this pump process acts as source for GoldenGate replicate process. So there are three processes involved for GoldenGate replication. Another thing here is, just for your information, I am telling you, so that later on it becomes more clearer when you do the setup. These local trail file and remote trail file are separate. So it's not like the, so the size of the local trail file can be different from size of remote trail file. The sequence number of that local trail file can be different from the sequence of remote trail file. So the thing is, these local trail files and remote trail files are completely independent of each other. Yes, however, for data purpose, remote trail contains the data equal to or less than what your local trail contains. Okay, so for data purpose, this remote trail is dependent on local trail. But anyways, apart from that, these are completely independent. Okay, so let us now discuss about installation of Oracle GoldenGate. So for doing the installation of GoldenGate installation is quite easy, but you have to keep few things in mind, which we are going to discuss now. So let me open the notepad. So when you install Oracle GoldenGate, things what you need to do. So while doing the installation, see, installation is pretty easy, but it should go smooth. How can you ensure it goes smooth? The steps which I'm going to tell you are things which I'm going to tell you. It applies to GoldenGate or it applies to any technology you are implementing anywhere in this world. So first thing you have to keep in mind is decide which version of GoldenGate to download. So your version, the database version you are using, or database type you are using, or platform you are using, it could be possible that it supports GG11G, it could support GG12C, 12.1, 12.2, or 12.3. It could support GG18C, it could support GG19C, or it could support GG21C. Now the question comes, how will you find which version of GoldenGate supports my environment? So the answer to your question lies inside certification matrix. So always ensure, so that we want to do everything first time right? So that, like, I have seen people, what they do is they just download the binary, the latest version, and it doesn't work. So in the scenario when you're working, it doesn't look good in front of your colleagues or in front of your the management, right? So it's always ensure you follow the correct steps. So during the training, I'll be providing you, or I'll be discussing about the best possible resolution, best possible steps, or production scenario steps, what you should do. So first of all, ensure you check the certification matrix. I have seen people, I'll tell you, like, not many organizations, I have seen people, what they do is they go ahead and download the latest version, and what they identify later on is either it is not supported on that platform, or it is not supported for their version, or it is not supported for their database type, or any other. And the answer to this question lies inside the certification matrix. So how to check certification matrix? Now the question comes, if GG is supported by, say for example, 18C, 19C, 21C, which version you should go with? So I always say go with the latest supported version. Now the thing is, right now GG21C is not that stable. Like it is in the market for last few months, but still, like, it is still undergoing that development. Still GG19C is supported. So I would always say go with the latest version 19C. Go with the version 19C if it is supported in that. You can also go with 21C, that's not a problem. If you want to go with 21C, see, my personal thinking is, if, see, when the version is introduced, so like it has some bugs, it may not be good for your environment. That's why, like, organizations are susceptible to use it initially, and subsequently they upgrade once the product becomes susceptible. So, but what I always, my theory is, like, go with the latest version always, like, because when Oracle is rolling it out, it has done a lot of internal testing, it has covered a lot of scenarios, right? Yeah, there are a few scenarios here and there which may not have been tested, but yeah, most of the scenarios are covered. But still, if you're not sure, go with second trusted version, which is 19C. So still this training is on 19C. I've not upgraded it to 21C. The reason being, there are not much change. Second thing is, there not much testing has been done for it, to be very honest. That's why. And most of the organization means almost 80% of setups of GoldenGate are still on 19C. 21C you will hardly find 3 to 5%. Okay. So decide which version of GoldenGate to download. First thing. Second thing is, then go ahead, once you have decided, go to OTN or edelivery.oracle.com and download the binaries, and then install the binary. Okay, these are the three things. Now during installation, what all questions comes into your mind? Now when you proceed with installation of GoldenGate, what all things you have to keep in mind? First thing is, you have to ensure you have sufficient space in GoldenGate, in mount point. Now where do you install GoldenGate? You can either create a separate mount point for GoldenGate, something like /GoldenGate or something, or you can use install GoldenGate in existing mount point. Just ensure whatever way you are choosing, it has sufficient space. Now how do you decide the space? The question comes, how do I define how much space I need for GoldenGate mount point? The answer to this question is there is no straightforward calculation for it. Like if you're coming to me, I may have some different calculation criteria. You may have some different criteria. Third person may have some other criteria. When you go to Oracle, guys, they may have some different criteria. Go with any criteria, whatever you feel comfortable with, because at the end of the day, our whole motive is to provide the sufficient space, and keep in mind, like we forecast at least 2 to 4 years, right? So how do we identify how much space we need in the mount point? So as I mentioned, you can create a separate mount point like /GoldenGate and define the space in that, or you can use existing mount point like /U01 or something and use that. Now, how do you define the space you have in your, how much space you have in your, how much space you need in your mount point? So how do I calculate this? I'll tell you. So what I do is I find out last 30 days or 60 days archive log generation. Okay, so I take out last 60 days archive log generation. Then I find in these last 60 days, what was the maximum archive generated in one single day. So say for example, today is 29th of August, for example. I will go back since 1st of July until 28th of July. I'll find out how many means what is the archive log generation per day. Now archive log generation could vary. It could be 5 GB on one day, it could be 1 GB on another day, it could be 2 GB, 10 GB, 100 GB, 50 GB, whatever it is, right? So what I do is I find out the maximum archive generated in one single day in last 60 days or 30 days. So say for example, on 1st of August, there was some activity. On 1st of August, the maximum archive in a single day was generated, and it was 15 GB, for example. It was 15 GB. So I would assume that in last 60 days, like I'll do my calculation assuming that maximum archive which could be generated in a single day would be 15 GB, right? Now, what I would do is generally as a thumb rule, we keep 7 days trail files, like the trail file which are generated, which you see in archive. So while most of the space in mount point is consumed by these trail files on source and target. So what I would do is like those contains the data, and data is from archive logs. So whatever data is in archive logs, trail file would contain that data. Okay. So I would assume that 15 GB data was generated, and as a thumb rule, like it's not mandatory, each organization has their different rules, but 80% of organizations, as per my experience, I'm telling you, follow the rule of keeping 7 days trail file. That means 7-day data they want to keep in the mount point. So I would multiply this by 15 GB into number of days you want to keep the trail files for. So this, how many days you need to keep, this will be decided by the project or client. But as a general rule, if client asks you how much days generally projects keep it, it is for 7 days. Okay. Now 15 into, so I'll get my calculation, 15 into 7 days, I would need minimum 105 GB of space. Now when I request for the mount point space, I'll multiply, because I have to forecast for like next 2 to 4 years, right? So data is going to increase definitely. It is not going to shrink until and unless that database is going to be obsolete. So I will grow it around 3 to 4 times. So I'll request for minimum, if I have to assume, I will request for minimum 350 to 500 GB of mount point space for Gold. Now the question may come to you like, now another scenario is some organizations are generous in providing mount point, but most of the organization, to be very honest, they are like, they don't provide mount point very easily. So now we have sufficient space when we are requesting 500 GB of mount point space, we have sufficient space to play with. So even if we are asking for 500 GB and we agree for 350 or 300 GB, we're still good for at least next 2 to 4 years, right? Along with that, if they ask you to justify, you can justify this calculation based on your future future forecasted growth. Along with that, sometimes what happens is you may need to keep more trail files in your environment. Maybe due to some reason your archive has not processed the trail files, or your GoldenGate was not running, or due to some other reason you may need it, because GoldenGate is critical. If your mount point gets full, you may have to redo everything. So that's why we need sufficient space in mount point. And sometime, like, we are assuming in last 60 days only 15 GB maximum trail files were generated. One day you are generating more, some huge activity is going on, so you are taking all that into account, and that's why you are given 500 GB of trail. Okay, 500 GB of space. Okay, so first point is, when you are doing installation, you have to ensure you have sufficient space. Second thing is, you need to find out which user you will do the installation with. GG installation with. So these are the two things. So either you can use Oracle user for it, or you can define, means I'm talking about OS user. So which OS user you will do the GG installation with. So it could be either Oracle user, or you can create a separate user like GG admin or GG user, something like that. Just ensure whatever you are using, if you are using any, so if Oracle user you are using, then you don't have to worry. But if you are using any user apart from GG admin or GG user, in that case you have to ensure that that user be part of o-install group. That user should be part of o-install group. So with Oracle user, like, now the question comes, in what scenario did you decide whether you have to go with Oracle user or GG admin or GG user? So this scenario comes generally when GoldenGate team and database team are defined separately in an organization. So DBA team does not want to allow GoldenGate team to have database access like DBA. In that case, you will be using different user for GoldenGate installation. If you are using the same user, then when database team is managing GoldenGate in your environment, in that case, you need to worry about that. Okay, so let us now proceed with installation in our environment. So first of all, we have to decide which version of GoldenGate to download. So before we proceed to download the binaries and install the binaries in GoldenGate, we have to check the certification matrix. So to check the certification matrix, we have to find out. So GoldenGate installation is dependent on database, which database version you are using, what is the platform you are using. It depends on that. So note down few things before you proceed to install. So in our environment, the VMs which we are going to use, which are already shared with you as well. So our source DB is, so source DB type, version, and platform. Similarly, target DB type, version, and platform. So in our case, our source DB type is Oracle, version is 12.2, and platform is, we can check the platform. So platform is x86-64 Linux, enterprise Linux, I'll show you. So you name -a. So it is enterprise Linux 6, x86-64 enterprise Linux 6. So it is EL6 x86-64. In our case, the target is also same. It is Oracle database 12.2, and plus platform is Enterprise Linux 6 x86 64. Now we'll be going ahead and check the, first of all we'll find the certification matrix and then we'll see. So if in your case, if you say for example your target type is say for example MySQL or any other database, you will be checking the certification matrix, and based on that you'll download. So first of all the question comes, how do we check the certification matrix? So to check the certification matrix, GoldenGate is Fusion middleware tool. So you check Fusion middleware certification matrix. Fusion middleware certification matrix. Go with the first link, Oracle Fusion middleware supported system configuration. So go to Google and type Oracle Fusion middleware certification matrix. So here you can find the GoldenGate binaries. Like you see 21C certification metric is there, then 19C certification metric is there, 18C certification metric is there. So we are going to check the certification metric of 19C. I'll go ahead and download the certification metric of 19C. On this page you can find certification metric of 11.2 and other versions as well. I'll show it to you. So say for example, if you, so first of all check the latest version whether it is supported. You will find that it is not supported, then go with the second latest version, then go with the third latest version. So see 12.2, 12.3 certification metrics are there, 11G R1 GoldenGate certification metric is there, R2 certification metric is there. So you can find certification metric for all the versions. So we have downloaded the 19C binaries in our environment. So I'll open the certification metric. So you can check GoldenGate, click on here to check the certification metric. Now here if you see, you will find what all databases it supports. Now the question comes, what all database this 19C supports. So you can click here, and this GoldenGate 19C supports all these databases like Amazon Aurora MySQL, Postgres on Amazon Aurora, then Amazon RDS for MariaDB also supported, MySQL, Oracle. Then it supports IBM DB2 different platforms, MariaDB it supports, Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL DB Server, Oracle Database, Oracle Times 10 it supports, Postgres, Sybase, Teradata, all these databases this 19C supports. Now just in case you find your version is not, your database is not supported, then go with the previous version. So here I'll just select Oracle database because my database which we are going to use in this training is Oracle database. Filter it out. Now second thing is check the processor type. Now this Oracle for GoldenGate is supported on these platforms. So check the, because our version is Linux x86 64, go with that. So now you find Oracle GoldenGate for Oracle 19C, it supports RHEL 6, 7, 8. So ours is RHEL 6, it is Enterprise Linux 6. Ours is Enterprise Linux, is it Oracle Linux? Okay, this is Oracle Linux 6, or yeah, RHEL, ours is RHEL 6, right? So if we see RHEL 6 supports these databases. So GoldenGate 19C on OS version RHEL 6 supports these databases 11.204, 12.1, 12.1.0.2, 12.2 and 18C databases. So in our case our database version is 12.2, so that's okay. We can use our GoldenGate 19C on this 12.2 databases. So Manish has a question, should we use the latest Oracle version 19c? Yeah, you can use 19c. The thing is, whatever features are there in 19c, we are using all those features or testing all those features here. So the way GoldenGate works on 12.2 database, in the same way it would work on 19c as well. So we have introduced all the new features of GoldenGate which are supported with GoldenGate for 19c or 12.2. Everything is there. So it works in the same way, you'll see. Okay, yeah, but if you want to use on VirtualBox, you can go ahead and download 19c as well. That would be supported. But yeah, in this VirtualBox, we have got RHEL 6. So remember RHEL 6, if you check the database certification matrix, so for using database 19c, you may have to upgrade the platform to RHEL 7. Okay. So as per certification matrix, we can go ahead and download 19c GoldenGate. Okay. So how do we download GoldenGate 19c now? So to download GoldenGate 19c, you can either download it through OTN or you can download it through edelivery.oracle.com. So download Oracle GoldenGate 19c. Go to this Oracle GoldenGate downloads. Here you will find your binaries here. Like this is 21.3 binaries. So if you see, GoldenGate binaries are platform dependent as well as database dependent. Here you see. So you see, just for your reference, I'm showing you. It is Oracle GoldenGate 21.3 for Oracle on Linux x86-64. So this binary will only work for Oracle database on Linux x86-64. Now there is another thing. Oracle GoldenGate 21.3 microservices for Oracle. So the thing is, GoldenGate binaries are different for different databases. GoldenGate binaries are different for classic and microservices. So the one which doesn't say anything, that means it is classic. If you have to use microservices, so microservices binaries are separate. So the one with microservices means it's microservices, and the one with nothing means it's classic binaries. So binaries are database specific as well as platform specific. So if you cannot use this binary on Sun Solaris. Okay. In the same way for Windows, this is binaries. Now these binaries are for DB2 on Linux x86-64, not x86. These are the binaries for x86-64. Then microservices 21c is now available for non-Oracle, 5 non-Oracle databases. So you can find those binaries as well. So based on the version and which binary you want to download, you can download. Now here you will see below 19c as well. So 19c here you will see like 19c, 21c is not available for Oracle on AIX platform as of now. That's why you will see on this page 19c. Now the question comes, if I want to download 19c binary, I don't find it on OTN. How can I download it? I have to download the binary for Linux platform and GoldenGate 19c. How can I download 19c binaries? I don't find it on OTN. What is the solution? I won't have it. So I won't find Oracle GoldenGate 19 for Oracle on Linux. You see, I don't have it. So how can I download? Anyone has any idea? What is the other possible solution?
Maybe you can go for 21c because that will support.
Yeah, but if I want to
yes, Ashish, we can go to edelivery.com. There we will find.
Absolutely. So I can go to edelivery.oracle.com. So we'll go to edelivery.oracle.com. Sign in over here. Provide your username, password for Oracle. And then here you can search for GoldenGate. Oracle GoldenGate. So here you can find all the binaries starting from 11.1. Do you see? So whatever binary you have to download. I'll go with 19.1.0. It has been added to the cart now. Go to view items. Here you will find like you have to select the platform for which you want to download. So you can select like say for example Linux x86 64. So 19C is supported on these platforms for Oracle. Click on continue. I accept and then continue. So now it will, you can go ahead and click on download to download the binaries. So here you can select on this page, you can select for which database you want to use. So we want to use it for
Oracle.
Oracle.
Oracle 12201.
Where is Oracle times 10?
Third last.
Is it here? Okay, yeah, this one. So we can go ahead and click on download. Once you click on download, the download of these binaries, it is 530 MB. The binaries, it will download on your machine. Once it downloads, then you can transfer it to your machine wherever you want to use it using WinSCP or any other tool. So in our case, on these virtual boxes, you will find GoldenGate binaries are already present. So these virtual boxes which I have provided, like GoldenGate is a licensed tool, but for learning and development purpose, it's free. You can use it on your virtual boxes, etc. So I'm already providing the Oracle GoldenGate binaries. So you can, the binaries are present under /home/Oracle/softwares. Here, if you go to this directly /home/Oracle/softwares, there are 3 folders. In fact, 4 folders. So 3 folders are for binaries. OGG classic 19C binaries, OGG microservices 19C binaries, and Veridata binaries. All 3 of them are present. So because this is classic, I'll go to OGG_classic. And here I need to unzip it first of all. So we'll do GUI installation on GGate 1 and then I'll show you silent installation on GGate 2. So GoldenGate allows both GUI as well as silent. So here I'll unzip it. So I'm going to install GoldenGate with the existing Oracle user and in the existing mount point. I can create one. So I'll install it under U01/U01 app Oracle. So I'll create a directory with the name GG_GGate1. So I'll install GoldenGate in this particular location. Right now there is nothing. I'll install it under U01 app Oracle GG_GGate. Okay, so unzipping of GoldenGate is happening right now on GGate. Unzipping may take 30 minutes. Oh, sorry, 30 seconds to do. In the meanwhile, I can also do the unzipping of binaries on GGate 2 as well, if I want to save some time. So I can go to /home/Oracle/software. So on both the, when you clone, the binaries will be present in the /home/softwares/OGG_classic 19C binaries. This is GGate 2. So I'm unzipping on GGate 2 as well. So I'll move to GGate 1. Okay. So I'm on GGate 1 again. I just unzip the binaries on GGate 2. That's it. Did nothing else. Okay. So because we are doing classic architecture training, so we are downloading only classic binaries because we'll be setting up classic. So now OGG_classic binaries I am into on GGate 1. So if you see here, so the GG binaries has been unzipped in this folder. So I'll go to this folder. Here I'll find one disk1. Here you'll find run installer. So you can run the installer. So let me set the display using xhost plus command. Xhost plus. This will set the display. So xhost space plus. Once you are done, then run installer. So it will open a OUI. So it will do some temp space check. It will do some swap space check. And then it will check the display. So if a display is not set, then you need to set the display. Otherwise, you can do the silent installation as well. So we are waiting for OUI to be invoked. As soon as it is done, we'll proceed. So it does the pre-checks internally before invoking your OUI. Okay, so it should come now. So you will see like version, it will ask like which GoldenGate version you want to use this GoldenGate for. So the thing is, GoldenGate, when you invoke, it uses database libraries. So it asks you for the GoldenGate version, sorry, database version for which you want to use this GoldenGate for. Okay, so OUI is getting invoked. So this is the first option I'm talking about. So it asked me, select the database for this GoldenGate installation. That means that for which database you want this GoldenGate to be installed for. So you remember like this GoldenGate 19C version for Oracle databases, it supports 19C, 18C, 12C and 11.204, basically 11G, right? So you, as I mentioned, when you invoke GGSCI, which you will see we'll be invoking, that is command prompt of GoldenGate. When you invoke GoldenGate command prompt, it uses database libraries, whatever database libraries you have. So if you don't provide the correct option over here, it won't invoke your GGSCI at all. It won't invoke it. It won't invoke your GGSCI. It will give you the error. So that is the reason you need to select the correct database version. So here I'll select Oracle database for Oracle GoldenGate for Oracle database 12c. What I want you to do is, like when you do the practice, you build and destroy kind of thing. So when you do the practical, you understand it better. What I want you to do is, by knowingly, you select some other version instead of the version for which you want to install GoldenGate for. Select some other version and try to see. Then invoke GGSC. You will understand what's the issue. So I'll select the correct version, like Oracle GoldenGate for Oracle Database 12c. Click on Next. Then on the next screen, it will ask me for which GoldenGate, where you want to install this GoldenGate for. So Manjunath has a question: is it possible for GD to support multiple database version? Yeah, we checked in certification metric, right? So this GoldenGate version. So the answer to this question, support part, guys, always will tell you, never ever ask this question from anyone whether this is supported. I have seen like many SR in my organization where I work different places. I take GoldenGate project different places. When I raise any SR or work with Oracle, the major question, almost 30% of questions or 40% of questions what people ask is, means not only GoldenGate, any technology, whether it is supported. Guys, you check the certification metric. Even the person who is going to give you the answer, he or she is going to check the certification metric and give you the answer. So go and check the certification metric and see whether it is supported. So the answer to this question is, so one question which Manjunath had is one version supports multiple database version? Yes. Second question is, same GoldenGate installation supports multiple database version? The answer to your question is no, if you are doing local installation. What is local installation, remote installation? We'll discuss later. So the answer to your question, in major answer to your question is, as far as I understand, I know what your question is. One GoldenGate installation supports only one database version. Like if you are using GoldenGate for 12c, then it supports only GoldenGate 12c. It cannot support your 11g database. Okay. Now here we have to install, means this software location is the one where you will be installing this GoldenGate, where you will be performing the installation. So provide the location where you will be installing GoldenGate. So we created the directory here. So we are going to install GoldenGate at this location. Then next option is start manager. So the thing is, each GoldenGate installation comes with one and only one manager. Now you saw this architecture, right? In this architecture, we saw there are different GoldenGate processes like manager, pump, replicate, and then we saw trail files. So these are the components of GoldenGate. On top of it, there is one more process in GoldenGate which is called as manager process. So manager process, as the name suggests, it manages the GoldenGate environment for you. Each GoldenGate environment has one and only one manager process. Minimum it has one, maximum it has one. So each GoldenGate installation by default comes with manager. So manager, as the name suggests, it manages the GoldenGate environment. So it manages all its resources, all its components. Okay. So each GoldenGate installation by default comes with a manager. Now that manager requires a port to run on. Ensure that nothing is running on that port. So 7809 is the default port which we are using. Now by default the manager is stopped. So you can choose not to start the manager during installation, or you can choose to start the manager during installation itself. So here I'm choosing the option of starting the manager. So what this will do, when I have to start the manager, I have to provide the database home as well here. So the one question which was asked is, it is mandatory for database to be installed prior to GoldenGate installation. The answer to your question is no. In that case, you can uncheck start manager. If your database is installed, in that case you can check this box. So this is the database home which I am providing, and by default GoldenGate manager uses port number 7809. You can use some other port number. Any port number is okay. Just ensure nothing else is running on that port. That port is specific to manager. Okay, once you are done, click on next. So on GGate2, when we do the installation, I'll show it to you when you don't start, what happens when you don't start the manager. Click on next. And then in the next screen, check the summary. If you have any questions, issues, you can check here. Along with that, you can save the response file if you want to save. Like for silent installation, say for example on dev, you are using this. On dev, on dev environment, if you want to, if you are doing GUI installation, but in higher environment, you are not allowed to use this GUI. In that case, you can do silent installation as well. Once you are done, click on install. So GoldenGate installation will start now. GoldenGate installation won't take more than 3 to 4 minutes. In the meanwhile, if you have any question while the installation is happening, you can ask, or you can post in the chat window as well. So GoldenGate installation will be quick. So here we have done GUI installation. In the next screen, we'll do silent installation. Okay, so the question which is there from Veer is, OGG for different DB homes have different manager process running on different port, or it uses the same 7809 port. So the answer to your question is, each GoldenGate installation has its own manager process. So each GoldenGate installation comes with its own manager process. Okay, so say for example, on this server, I create 3 different GoldenGate installation, one for 11G, second for 12C, third for 19C. In that case, I'll have 3 manager process. Now remember, each manager is independent of other installation. So for manager process to run, they cannot share the port. Each manager process needs to have its own separate port. So by default, it uses 7809. You can change the port. So one manager is using 7809, say for example, use different ports for different manager process. Okay. Okay. So the installation, you see, GoldenGate installation is successful. So GoldenGate installation is pretty easy, but you have to keep in mind few things which I discussed, like mount point, which user you are going to use, and you have sufficient space or not. Okay. Now another question is, if an Oracle home has both container and non-container database under it, would GG support both of them? Yes, GoldenGate support your container as well as non-container database. This training will be doing on pluggable databases anyways. So your GoldenGate installation is successful now. So we have closed it. Now, if you look at this directory where we have installed GoldenGate, you will find the binaries have been created here. Okay. Now, there is one GoldenGate executable which comes with GoldenGate installation. So do GGSCI. GGSCI stands for GoldenGate Software Command Line Interface. So this is command line of GoldenGate, which is available since beginning of GoldenGate. So log into GGSCI /GGSCI. You will be logged into GGSCI prompt. Now to know, so how do you identify which version it is? Say for example, you are part of the environment where GoldenGate is already installed. So you have to check the version. This is the version. For which database it is using? It is being used for Oracle 12C and Linux x64 64-bit, which is x86 64. Okay. Now to check what all GoldenGate processes are in there and are in your environment, you need to check info. You need to use the command info all. So info all is the command which is used to check what all GoldenGate processes are configured in your environment. So right now we don't have any, but as I told, each GoldenGate installation comes with a manager process. So this is manager process. And because why this process is running? Anyone has any idea? How come this process is running?
Because we have checked in the tick box start
Absolutely.
manager.
Absolutely. So because we tick that box during installation start manager, that's why it started. Now each process in GoldenGate has a parameter file associated to it. So how do we check the parameter file for manager? You see view param mgr. So parameter file are the files. So when we create the extract process, pump process, or replicate process, how does GoldenGate know where it has to connect to, which database, which tables it has to extract data of? How does it know? Each process has a parameter file. So the manager also has its own parameter file. To view the parameter file from GGSCI prompt, you do view param mgr. So how did it got port 7809? Because during the installation itself we started the manager and provided port 7809, so it took that port from here. Okay, so info all is the command which tells you what all processes are configured in your GoldenGate instance, this particular instance. Now let me exit from here, do ls-lart again. Now the GoldenGate installation, when you check, it comes by default with these
Subdirectories.
these are the directories which gets created during GoldenGate installation. So like dir-chk. dir-chk is a checkpoint directory. dir-sql, it is used for storing the SQL file. dir-def, it is used for definition file. dir-dat, it is used for storing the trail files, like local trail files, remote trail files which are generated. Those are stored in dir-dat. dir-wlt is used for storing the wallet for encryption purpose. dir-tmp, it's a temporary directory. dir-crd, stores the credential stores. dir dump is the dump directory. dir prm, it stores the parameter files. So like you have the manager parameter file created. So where it got created? Inside dir prm. dir rpt, it stores the report files for you. So like each process in GoldenGate has its own report file. So under dir rpt it is stored. dir pcs, it stores the process status. Like when you do info all, it shows you whether the process is running, stop. So from where does it get the status from? It gets the status from dir pcs directory. So these are the directories. We will understand the significance of each and every directory once we do the setup. So just to show you, if I go to dir prm, I'll do ls-lart. So we have mgr.prm created. How did it create? From GoldenGate installation. Similarly, if I do dir chk, so here also you will find manager doesn't have a checkpoint. If I go to dir pcs, you will find mgr.pc. So how do we get all these things here right now? Because we check the box start manager. That's why it is done. So now we do silent installation on GGate 2. Okay, we do silent installation on GGate 2. So what I'll do, I'll copy the file which we stored cd response. So this is the silent this is the response file which is created during installation of GoldenGate on GGate 1. So I'll transfer this file scp ogg core.rsp oracle at GGate 2, and I'll transfer it to /home/oracle/softwares/ogg_classic_19c binaries. Under there, I'll copy the location where I want to copy it. ls-cd fbo disk 1. Okay, here I'll copy. So I'll do welcome1 is the password. So it has been transferred. So I'll go over here now. So I'll see ogg core.rsp is there. So I'll vi ogg core.rsp. I'll make the changes. So this is okay. So first option is I didn't save the response file.
You saved it under home Oracle.
Is it? home/oracle. Oh, is it? Okay. So I'll scp this ogg. So okay, now it's copied. Okay, now you see this is the silent file, this is the response file. So first option is install option, select oracle 12c. It gives you the option, like you can choose. It's not like you have to save, but the format is same. You can copy the format from one version, one server, or any third server. You can do that. So install option is oracle 12c. Software location, here I'll install it under GGate 2 location. So what I'll do, I'll create the directory. mkdir. Okay. start manager here I'll keep as false. I don't give anything, that means it's false. Okay. Port number I don't need to give because I'm doing the installation without any port number or manager starting. Database location is same. Then inventory location will be this. Unix group will be. Save it and close it. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll run the silent installation. So to run the silent installation, the command is we have to provide run installer -silent -response file and location of response file. So I'll do ls-lart vi. Okay, yeah. So I'll run /run installer -silent -response file, or is it only response?
Response file.
It's a response file, and then location of response file and name /oggcore.rs. So it will do the pre-checks first, and then it will do the installation for you. Once the installation is done, you will see it will be fine. Like it may take few minutes for you. So I'll go to that location which I have created. cd/u01 app Oracle gg_gget2. So gg will be installed in this location. So it will do some check, and because it is silent installation, whatever time it took over there, it will be performing that. Yeah, so on one server we did GY installation, on this server we are doing silent installation right now. So you can check the logs of this. Where are the logs generated here? It is still in progress. Okay, yeah, so in logs, so you can find the logs at this location. So installation is in progress. So Funny has a question. In my DB home, I have multiple databases. Can I use one single GG installation for multiple databases in same DB home? The answer to this question, Funny, I'll answer in next session. I don't want to answer, because I don't want to confuse anyone with that answer right now. The answer to your question is there is a possibility. How to do that? You must have heard about GG Hub, right? So I'll discuss about GG Hub part in the next session. Okay. So the answer to your question is yes, it is possible, and that is the recommended. That would be the recommended way instead of doing the separate installation, because maintenance wise and capability wise that would be better. So see, installation is happening. Successfully completed the flow in silent mode. Okay, so now if you check ls-lart, you will see GoldenGate installation has been done in silent mode. Now again, to log into GGSCI, do /GGSCI GoldenGate software command line interface. Do info all over here. Now this is GGet info. Manager is stopped, right? Do you see? Manager is stopped. Why? Because we didn't start the manager during installation. So how do we create the parameter file for manager? How do we start it? So to start it, you can do edit param mgr. So to create parameter file for any process, do edit param process name. But the thing is, it says dir prm does not exist. So if I exit from here and do ls-lart, you won't find those dir directories which were created, those subdirectories which were there. Why? Because those gets automatically created when you start the manager. But because in GGate 2 you haven't started the manager, hence as a reason they are not there. So do you have to create them manually? The answer to this question is you can go to GGSCI and do create sub-dirs. That means create subdirectories. Now once you do create subdirectories, that directories has been created. Do ls-lart. See, all those directories have been created. Now go to GGSCI again and do edit param mgr. Provide the port number on which manager would run over here. So these are two different servers. So manager can run on same port as well. Like 7809, it's running on GGate 1. I can provide 7809 over here as well. Now, but because they are two separate servers, just to show, because means these are two separate servers, so you can use the same manager port. But because just for training purpose and so that when we move forward, you understand like when we are using GGate 2 manager, when we are using GGate 1 manager, when it is used. So I'll keep the separate manager port. I'll provide 7810 over here. But the answer to the question is, can we have same manager port on two different machines? Yes, you can use, because those are the purpose of providing the different manager port when you have multiple GoldenGate instances on same server is because if port is used, manager cannot run. So you have to provide the port which is unused. So on another server it would be unused. If it is unused, you can provide the same port. But we are providing separate port number for your understanding and learning. Save it and close it, and then you can go ahead and start the manager. We'll be discussing more on creating the parameter files and more on parameter files. Don't worry about that. This is just about manager. We'll be creating the parameter files for different processes going forward. But if you have to create any parameter file for any process, the command is edit param process. So manager is edit param mgr. If you have to view the parameter file, do view param process. It will show you the existing parameter file for that particular. Can we change the manager port later after we complete the installation? The answer to this question is absolutely you can change, but there may be impact of changing the manager. What are those impacts? Subsequently you will understand, because data pump establishes the connectivity with manager. So it is possible, but you have to do the impact analysis for it. Okay. So in this session, we covered about GoldenGate installation. In the next session, which would be day 3, which would be tomorrow, timing would be same. So as per EST, it would be tomorrow at 9:30 to 10:30 EST, and as per IST, it would be Wednesday, 31st August, 7 to 8 AM IST. So in the next session, we'll be discussing about decide where to install GoldenGate with different options. So we'll be discussing about that option of hub as well. Then we'll be discussing about prerequisites to set up GoldenGate at database level. Then what is supplemental logging and different types of supplemental logging. And then we'll be setting up our processes, like we'll be creating our source and target object for replication purpose. And then post that session, we'll be setting up GoldenGate replication between source and target. Okay. So what are the steps you have to do prior to this session? So what are the tasks assigned for this session is create the VMs, create the database OGG DB1 on GGate 1 and OGG DB2 on GGate 2. You can create the pluggable databases. So how do you create? Go to GoldenGate Oracle home / bin folder. Over there you can create using DBC. Okay. And then install Oracle GoldenGate on GGate 1 and GGate 2 as we did. Okay. So we have session tomorrow. So if I have to quickly recap today's session, what we discussed. So we started with Oracle GoldenGate architecture, how data flow in GoldenGate. So all processes in GoldenGate work independently from each other. However, for data, they are dependent on each other. Then Oracle GoldenGate Training VM has 12.2 database and database 19c binaries present in /home/oracle/softwares. For GoldenGate binaries download, make note of source database type, version, and platform. And before you proceed with installation, always check the certification metrics in your environment. What are the options available to install GoldenGate 19c? Either you can do GUI installation or silent installation. We discuss both. What is the command to invoke the GoldenGate? Go to GoldenGate home and then execute /ggsci. Manager process is default for GoldenGate install. All parameter files folder is dir prm, and then we discuss about different directories of GoldenGate. Manager process, the purpose is to manage all GoldenGate resources. Different commands for GoldenGate includes info all, edit param mgr, view param mgr, info mgr you can do, start manager, stop manager. 3 processes involved in GoldenGate replication are capture or extract process, pump, and delivery or replicate. So what are the options to install GoldenGate? We'll discuss in next session. Okay. Any question from anyone? You can ask.
Ashish Partha, you said that installation metrics, no? It purely depends on the processor type, no? In case if the platform is upgraded, so again we need to do the same process for installation again, or you can do that upgradation.
Absolutely, that is really very good. Thanks for asking this question. So guys, as you can see, GoldenGate installation is platform dependent, as well as GoldenGate binaries are platform dependent, as well as database dependent. So say for example, if
Your voice is not clear.
is it clear right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing is, if say for example, if you're upgrading your if you're upgrading your platform, means you have to check the impact analysis as well over here. So the thing is, for impact analysis, you have to check, because when you upgrade the platform, maybe the version you are using may not be supported by that version. Similarly, when you are upgrading the databases, same thing will occur, because this GoldenGate is like when you see, when we installed GoldenGate, it asks us whether you want to install this GoldenGate for 12c or 19c. Now the GoldenGate which we have installed right now, it won't work for 19c database in this scenario. So the answer to your question is yes. If you are upgrading your platform or database, you may have to do impact analysis. You may need to redo your GoldenGate in that case. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good question,
So,
Partha.
so we need to consider that. Is there anything the metrics, the end of life support? Anything is there like that? This version will be supporting from this year to this year, like that.
Oh yeah, there is that. Yeah, Oracle has it. I may have. Yeah, but yeah, the answer to your question is yes, they have that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question from anyone else? Okay, so if no question is there, guys, let us wrap up our session for today. We'll continue tomorrow. So please do complete the task, whatever are assigned. So there is one question from Srinivasan. If we have installed GG on non-CDB and we are concerned converting to CDB, do we need to redo the installation process? No, you don't need to. You will understand that when we do the setup of GoldenGate. So in 4th session, that question will be answered to you, Srinivasan. Why it is not dependent on that. So the answer to your question is no. If you are converting your GG from non-CDB to CDB and you are on same version, then you don't need to do that. Okay. Okay. Any question? Any other question from anyone?
So Ashish, any specific reason to go with the CDB PDB for DB?
Yeah, so the thing is from GoldenGate 21, sorry, database 21C, only multi-tenant architecture is supported and most
Right.
of organizations are using multi-tenant. So the thing is, there is no specific reason. You can use non-multi-tenant as well, but I ask you to use multi-tenant because yeah, you get, so see what happens is like some of or many of us, that's what my personal experience is, like they haven't worked on multi-tenant. Now this gives you opportunity to work on multi-tenant database as well along with GoldenGate.
Right. Right.
So that's the reason, because that is the future of databases as well going forward, like everything will be multi-tenant.
Thank you.
Okay, so let us wrap up our session and we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you everyone for joining today's session, and we'll continue.
Thanks, Ashish. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashish.